Hello and welcome to Kisma and the Dark Yogi. Today we are going to talk about the truth about self-love. Hello, this is Kisma and welcome to Kisma and the Dark Yogi, brought to you by sourcemovement.com. We're here for people who want to be radically authentic and courageously vulnerable. So whether you're a yoga teacher, entrepreneur, or leader building a tribe, we're here to get your energy and mindset positioned for success. No more stress, no more lack of energy. It's time to lead with your full potential. Our intention is to leave the world a better place than we found it and inspire you to do the same. So hey, if this message in our podcast resonates with you and you've not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to Kisma and the Dark Yogi on iTunes. And while you're at it, give us a rating and let us know what you think. If you have someone in your life that would enjoy this conversation, share it with them. Want more information about the movement? Just go to sourcemovement.com. So let's get started, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Kisma and the Dark Yogi. And welcome, everyone. So glad you're here for Kisma and the Dark Yogi. I've got Nick Hansinger, aka the Dark Yogi, and he's got some thoughts, really interesting thoughts on self-love.
Well, this is something I've been thinking a lot about lately, actually. I see more and more people talking about it. And the more that I think about it, I think the more that I understand just for myself that this is such a fundamental piece that determines the quality of your life in so many different ways. And it doesn't necessarily, like, it seems kind of touchy-feely, or it seems like maybe it's woo-woo. Not so much, or kind of woo-woo. But at the end of the day, you are the central component in every experience.
Oh my gosh.
In your life.
Wait, say that again.
You are the central component to every experience in your life.
So you're like the subject to every experience.
Exactly.
Yep. Interesting, right, everyone?
And if you're not really liking yourself, right, accepting yourself, it's going to diminish that experience, and it's going to affect what you attract into your life moving forward.
Got it. So in other words, we've said this before, but life is made up of a series of experiences. The quality of our experiences determines the quality of our life. So if we, as the subject of each of those experiences, is a person we don't like or we really don't like, things aren't looking good.
Yeah, it's very painful. Very painful to be in that experience. I mean, just think about it. You're hanging out with you all day long.
Do they ever teach this in school, Self-Love 101?
They never taught this to me in school. I mean,
I wonder.
They definitely didn't teach that to me in music school.
No, not in music school. Hate yourself and practice harder. You suck.
Not good enough. That was the overarching message there. But yeah, so the more that I hear about it, the more I think about it, and I see people talk about it, I notice that there's something that is really missing in the conversation. And I think the conversation, it's not even that it's missing. It's really, to me, the conversation is upside down.
Yes.
It's totally upside down because they're talking about how do you fill yourself up, you know, so that your cup is running over. I hear that one a lot, so that you're so full of love that it's just coming out with you. And I've actually tried that, you know, and done that in certain ways. But at the end of the day, it ultimately didn't work. And the reason that it doesn't work is because you're constantly taking from outside of you and trying to bring it in. And at the end of the day, love is your true essence.
Right.
So you're already love, like you already have that, and you already have the experience of that available to you. And when you're trying to pull other stuff in, you're basically just filtering it through your own perception about who you are and who you think you are and what you think you deserve and how worthy you are or anything like that. And then trying to fill yourself up so that you can feel a certain way and feel the experience of love. And I just think that's totally backwards.
It's totally backwards. I mean, more hearts on a periscope is not going to make you love yourself more.
It's just not, right? And then the other way that they try to go about filling themselves up with love is like through these elaborate like self-care things. Like they start so simple. And first I want to say self-care is definitely important.
Yes.
Like that, I'm not saying it's not important, but what I am saying is that sometimes it starts out innocently enough of like, what's one thing that I can do that would really make myself, feel better or feel cared for, or just nurture myself.
Right.
And then it grows into, well, that felt good, so I'll do this thing and this thing and this thing. And then before you know it, you've got like these crazy self-care things. And ultimately what you've done is just set up another system or, kind of trap for yourself that you have to do in order to feel good about yourself, in order to feel loved, and feel loved by yourself and give yourself love. So it ultimately creates then another thing that you have to do in order to have that, because it's outside of you. It's either in the other people or it's in the actions or it's like in whatever, but none of that stuff is actually true. Does that make sense?
Totally. I mean, there are external things that make us feel good, that are fun. We love, humans love to achieve, at least many humans love to achieve. They love to feel good. But as Swamiji always said, there's no light in the moon.
There's no light in the moon.
Otherwise, what was that example he would always use? If the pleasure was in the external substance or the external quest, we wouldn't have such a polarization about smoking.
Right.
Because some people love to smoke that cigarette and many people hate it.
Or in the case of love, you've got the guy who's desperately trying to divorce a woman.
Yeah.
And another guy who's desperately trying to marry her. Right. So the love is not in that,
Right.
And that's where I think the conversation turns rightfully back to self-love. Like how do you just love yourself so that you don't need any of that anyway? But the way that they go about it is so often like totally upside down, which begs the question, hopefully, well, what's the right side up?
What is the right side up?
The right side up is not about adding more and more stuff in. Mm-hmm. It's about removing all of the things that are in the way of your self-love.
Okay.
Right? All of the self-judgments, all of the self-blame, all of the
inner
shame.
critic, yeah.
Right? I'm a huge fan of Brené Brown's work on the shame.
Right.
And it's really about removing all of those blocks to love so that you can have the experience of who you really are.
Right.
Right? And once that's able to happen, then you're much more in the flow with that experience, and you're just really feeling more loved, right?
More space. Your container actually shifts. So, that we talk a lot about frequency, a lot about energy. Your energetic container is cleaner and brighter and has the capacity to hold more self-love and appreciation and acceptance.
Yeah, and that's 100% going to affect the kind of people that you attract into your life.
And why is that?
Yeah. Well, you're basically like a radio tower.
Yeah.
You're projecting out. Love is a much, much higher frequency than, say, anger, guilt, shame, way down there, those ones.
Yuck.
But right at the top, you've got love. And when you're broadcasting at that frequency, when that's just basically emanating from you really naturally,
right.
Then people who are tuned into that are going to be able to pick up on that and be a part of that, right? Other people who are not will be either repelled by it or just won't be attracted to it.
Yeah, drop out of your hologram. Yeah, when you walk into the world and you give love to the world, you will receive love. But giving love to the world comes from a place of loving yourself. This isn't like fake love or what. This is like really understanding the interconnectedness of everyone, understanding the beauty of nature, being loving and respectful to our planet, because what we do to the planet affects us. When you enter the world with this, like your perception of your experiences are going to vastly change.
Hugely. Yeah. I mean, it changes so dramatically. It's like you're like another human being.
You had a little insight the other morning about worry, and I feel like this ties into self-love. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Is it, you mean just my refusal to worry anymore?
You were like, I'm not going to worry about worrying.
Yeah. Oh, well, worrying about worrying is still worrying.
It's still worrying.
Yeah, like that's still worrying. Yeah, I mean, what is that anyway? Like you have to really look at where that comes from, and ultimately that kind of worry and anxiety is coming from some sort of like not enoughness, I'm not going to be okay type of feeling, right? And so what we wind up doing, I think, from that space is really pushing ourselves, and we get into that kind of like frenetic activity, and then it creates more stress and anxiety.
Yeah, right.
And to me, those are when you talk about self-love and really wanting to be always coming from a loving space,
right?
Stress and anxiety just make that
Ugh.
so much harder.
Yeah.
Like so much harder.
Really, no flow, no ease, no grace, no fun,
right?
Gotta have fun. Here comes the train of truth.
The train of truth.
At that very moment.
Because there it is.
A little extra.
It's noisy around
here
here
extra
today.
truth there.
The cat. We got a big old truth train coming. There it is.
Carlsbad, California, everyone.
And when you think about it, really, it's that feeling of I'm not going to be taken care of, I'm not going to be okay. And that's so counter to that true nature of like all loving, all abundant. It doesn't, those two don't jive together.
Right. And in self-love, just so we're clear on this, the world's based on duality, and there is a light and a dark in everyone. So when those little seeds of darkness, because I know they're just little, all of you out there, when they pop up, or when there's an aspect of your personality that you're not crazy about, or something in your past, don't ignore it, because it will then mirror itself out in your universe in a really big way, trying to get your attention. Like, hey, feed me, love me. I need to resolve this.
That's a really good point. Like, it's so easy to try to suppress
or
it, push down, or bury those parts of ourselves that we don't really like. Especially, I think, in the personal growth world, the spiritual world,
happy,
right, where those things are kind of frowned on.
Right.
They happy over,
right.
and it's like it's okay, but it's not really. It's not really
about okay or not okay.
Right.
It's about looking at what's yelling at you from inside that wants some clearing or love. You'll be amazed when something comes up in you and you just listen to it.
Exactly. Because I was going to say, like, what's the most important thing? Most people will try to ignore it. And really, at the end of the day, it's not about making it right or wrong or good or bad. It's really just about listening and loving, because
loving all aspects.
Exactly. When you shut that part out, or you hate that about yourself, and I've heard that like so many times, and I'm sure I've said that so many times, like I hate that about myself, or I hate this aspect of my character, this thing that I do. It could be this way that my body looks, or the way that my body feels, or whatever it is that you're hating on. Like, that's you, and you are a whole entity. And in order to really experience and express the highest in self-love and in love, you have to accept every area of yourself.
Every area.
So I always think, self-love starts, like, forget about love, is just starting with acceptance.
Yes.
Like, acceptance is the first step, because that really lets you be in discernment. Like, that is who, this is who I am. This is a part of me that's coming out. I'm going to love all over it for just a second. But before you even get to the love, like, you just, like, at least you have to accept that and acknowledge it for what it is.
Right.
Whether it's anger, I know anger, certainly comes out of me when things don't go my way, or I don't like something that somebody says, or whatever it is. The more that
a little testy.
Every once in a while, but
better now.
A lot on it. Yeah.
He loved it. It's better now, everyone.
Well, I paid attention to it.
You did.
Yeah.
You listened to it.
Yeah, because it's so easy, especially in anger.
And you went to the source of it and cleared that.
Anger is something that I definitely know a bit about. And what I've noticed is that the natural tendency in anger is to really externalize everything.
Right.
It's that person's fault. How could they do that? How could they say that? I can't believe that.
Oh, what a missed opportunity for self-enlightenment.
What's that?
When we go outside of ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a missed opportunity.
You're just missing. You're always missing the point.
Yeah. Go inward, people. Go inward.
But the more I started to listen, to what that was telling me, ultimately about what I thought about myself, that's when the doors really started to open as far as things that I could change and shift in my own perception, not only of the other, whatever it was that was, quote unquote, making me angry, but also about myself and those things that I hold in myself.
Right. Yeah.
So it started, though, with acceptance. And then you have a chance to be like, okay. And I think this is the part where that gets sticky for people. They get caught in either in acceptance or actually in love. In acceptance, it's like, okay, well, that's just the way I am.
Yeah.
Right? That's just the way I am. And there's no forward movement from there. That's not actual, like, it doesn't have the both sides that you need for that. That's cool. Like, yes, that's the way that you're.
I'm just a jerk. It's the way I am.
Yeah, it's just the way I am. I get real. I just really get agitated with people.
And then I pick my nose.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see that one coming. But there's that piece, which I think gets people stuck in that without the forward movement of like, that's who you're choosing to be.
Right.
Right. And there may be very valid choices for the reason that you've been trained to make those choices to be that way. But at the end of the day, you could choose to be somebody else if you want. And then the other part is like it's the loving of it. Right. So, and then it's just like, well, I'm just going to love all of my anger, and I'm going to love all my, my discordance. I'm going to love all of the things that I, think that I'm supposed to be doing or whatever, like you get caught in this whole thing. And that's another part where it's like, yes, love it. Right. But you do always have to look at the layers deeper, the layers behind that. And is that congruent with your highest?
Right.
That's
highest
always the
best.
question. Like, is it congruent with your highest?
And really, everyone, just to cap it all off, it isn't difficult to make choices in alignment with your higher self and divine right order. It really isn't. We just need to tune in and be willing to A, go against the grain, B, sometimes it will feel uncomfortable, but it won't be that hit in the gut like it's the wrong choice. It'll just be like, oh, I really got to step in. I got to step up. And 3, like Nick said, give yourself space. Give the energetic container space to grow and give your frequency space to rise up and really heighten your entire life and all opportunities that come your way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when the more that you allow your love to express, and through self-love, love is the most healing energy on the planet. So love is really all you need. Like they totally nailed it with that one, right? Love is really all you need. And so you can expect your body to be more healthy, to have more energy, right? To have more vitality,
right?
And all kinds of other things. And you can bet that your relationships are going to improve.
They're going to soar.
Yeah. In so many different ways.
Go to work. People are going to be buying you coffees and drinks, people.
Yeah, because that's the thing that people just want to be around.
They want it. They want to be around it.
Absolutely, right? So, it feels good for you too, but you have to be full. Like you have to really be full and resonating that.
Right.
And not giving it from the place of, I'm trying to get you to love me or anything like that. Like that just totally doesn't work. So the thing that I would leave everybody with is and the questions for reflection are, where is it showing up in your words or in your thoughts, thoughts that are, or words that are just not really speaking to your own self-love.
Right.
Do you say like, I hate this about my body, or there's this one thing that I just like so want to change, and it's not good enough. Do you use self-deprecating language a lot? Because it's kind of funny and we can have some fun with it. But at the end of the day, if you're not looking for the truth behind that, there's a seed behind that.
Yeah.
And it's worth it to look at.
Yeah.
And where else is it showing up? Anything where you're blaming, shaming yourself, judging yourself, criticizing yourself for not being who you think you're supposed to be.
Right.
And where can you first accept that? And secondly, just love all over it a little bit more so that you can actually get those blocks out of the way.
Right. Yeah. Good. Awesome.
So that's it for today.
Yep.
Want to invite you all to, give the podcast a listen. Go ahead and subscribe in iTunes. Give us a rating and review, and drop us a line at info@sourcemovement and tell us the way that you're loving yourself the most these days. We'd love to hear from you.
All right.
Namaste.
Namaste.